Back in 2007, it became evident that these new emissions engines that they were producing were problematic. They were getting lousy fuel mileage and they weren't reliable, but they were mandated by the government. Owner-operators in small fleets could hardly afford to buy new trucks that got terrible fuel mileage and broke down all the time. So we found a way around the regulation. We bought rolling glider kits, basically a brand new truck with no engine in it, took an older engine and rebuilt it, an older pre-emissions reliable engine, rebuilt it, put it in the glider kit, and we kept going. And things were working out fine. But it wasn't too long before the government noticed, the EPA especially, that they'd made a mistake and missed this loophole that we'd taken advantage of, and they decided that they better plug it up. Happily for us, government moves slowly, so we had some time on our hands. In the meantime, companies like Fitzgerald Glider Kit and others became huge, mass producing these glider kits for the market for guys that needed reliable truck engines. These glider kits became a huge boost to our industry. We were able to continue getting decent fuel mileage, have reliable equipment, and it was a real boon to us, especially for the owner-operators in small fleets. The trucks produced by Fitzgerald and these other glider companies were getting better fuel mileage, and they weren't breaking down. These glider kit companies were producing better, more reliable trucks than the factories were. But with everything, all good things come to an end. The EPA finally managed to figure out how to clamp down on the glider industry, because their argument was that these glider kit trucks were still creating too much pollution, and they wanted to cut that out. The EPA, after all, is not concerned about the operational costs of equipment. The EPA is only concerned with emissions. So what they've done is to satisfy their mandate. The EPA, after all, is part of government, and government is rarely concerned with the practical application of their rulings, much like the ELDs. All they do is come up with a rule, mandate it, and they're happy. And they're not really particularly concerned whether it works in the real world or not. They should be, but they're not. And so now we're back to trucks in 2018 with factory engines that meet 2018 regs that will have the same problems as we've seen previously. Bad fuel mileage and all sorts of breakdowns. So in their wisdom, the NHTSA, in combination with the EPA, has issued what they referred to as GHG, greenhouse gases, phase 2, and they'll begin that mandate in 2018. Now, what that mandate will eliminate are large glider kit factories like Fitzgerald putting older emissions-free engines in new glider kits. That's mass production in their eyes, and they'll eliminate that mass production in 2018. Now, between 2018 and 2021, they will allow small applications, small business peoples, farmers, owner-operators to continue with these glider kits, but not on a mass production level. And in 2021, that grandfathering clause, if you will be eliminated altogether. So by 2021, what they're saying under this phase 2 regulation is that there will be no more glider kits allowed. If the truck is going to be a 2021 truck, it's got to have a 2021 engine that meets those requirements for that year, and that's it. No ifs, ands, or buts, no leeway. So when you see these ads on YouTube, like I saw one here a little while back advertising a Freightliner cab over Argosy kit offered by a dealership with a pre-emissions engine in it, but what they said was it had no DEF basically, and you could run it legally anywhere but California. Well, that is no longer the case. These companies have quit producing these things because that's considered mass production, and they know here in a couple of months that that's just going to be shut right down by the government. And Canada's following suit with the US on this. So as of 2018, no more mass production of glider kits with pre-emissions engines in them. And as I said before, an owner-operator or a farmer or someone like that will still be allowed to do it up until 2021, but even at that point, that will be eliminated. So that will be the end of truck engines, basically, that can get around the greenhouse gas rules. That will be the end of it. Where that leaves us, all we can do now at this point is hope that the engineers get a whole lot better at making these emissions-friendly engines than they are now. And, you know, maybe they'll be able to get these bugs out and make these engines operate more freely so they can breathe, so they won't break down, so they won't plug up with the emissions controls, and the fuel mileage will improve once again. Certainly the trucks are getting slipperier looking, and maybe that's part of the battle, and they're fighting it in other ways too with these super singles and stuff. But the technology now is going to have to catch up to the mandate so we can afford to keep operating. And if we can't afford to keep operating, I don't know what's going to happen. But they're going to have to get a whole lot better with these emission-friendly engines than they are now. They've got a long way to go. That's how I see it from the driver's seat anyway. Take care, and we'll see you on the backhaul.